Cannon, Gatorade, Gordon Food Service, St. Joseph Health System, South Bend Orthopedic, Vivid Seats, and by West Bend Insurance. Also brought to you by Eddy Street Commons at Notre Dame. Now, here's the Brian Kelly Show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 10th and final edition of the Brian Kelly Show for the 2019 season, live from the Irish Athletics Center, the new indoor practice facility here at Notre Dame. I'm Jack Nolan, joined as always by the head coach of the Fighting Irish. And Brian, I know you're really broken up that this is the last radio show of the season.
No, listen, I've done over 100 of them. I have not missed one show. Not one.
I know.
Not one.
Thank you.
I have a record of over 100 victories of making it to this show. Have not missed one. So I'm pretty proud of that.
And for those of you, this is not taking a shot at anyone, but for those of you saying, well, he should be at his show, previous coach made one show. So we thank you very much for coming to the show.
Believe me, across the country, there are many that find it convenient
to send the
show
associate head coach or rotate. No, I am well aware of that, and I appreciate it as well.
And I wanted to be here tonight with everybody that's here. So let's go. Let's have a good show.
Well, and I will say, Coach always brings his A game. This is one of the easiest things I do all week.
And my esteemed colleagues to my right, my media friends, they're here tonight, and we are always pleased to be with them.
So in this first segment all year, we've kind of been breaking down the previous game, taking a look at some of the highlights. Of course, a very impressive win over then 21st ranked Navy last weekend, 52-20. Now, that was the 38th Notre Dame Navy game that I have covered, and I have never seen a Notre Dame defense do that good a job against a good Navy triple option attack. How did you get the defense to that point?
Well, we built off what we did in the first half against them last year, which, we shut them out. Yeah. And so, it was a base that we had begun to develop over the last, year or so. And, we added a little bit to it. Now, they came out and the plan was to run the quarterback. And that was, again, because of a lot of the coverages that we had employed, it was their best opportunity to actually move the football. You could see a lot of speed option, but the one thing about the Naval Academy is that they don't get a chance to go up against the speed that we have on defense either, and we're long as well, and having that length and that speed, was difficult for them to handle, and we were able to get the ball away from them, and the turnovers obviously were huge for us in this game.
And, of course, one of the guys who really helped you early, who was very disruptive, was Khalid Kareem, forcing two fumbles that led to the second and third touchdowns of the day. They made it 21-0, and in large part because of the offense that they run. For all intents and purposes, the game's over at that point because they don't really have enough time to get back in the game unless they can shut you out, and obviously they couldn't do that.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot about Khalid Kareem. Here's a guy that, is a defensive end. He's a guy that's going to play on Sundays. Last year he was rated, as a guy that could go as high as the third round, came back, and, again, playing option football, he's a guy that easily can tap out in a game like this, but he played his best football against a team that, is difficult to play with because they're in at your ankles. They're, obviously there's a lot of low blocks in there, and I'm not saying that they're illegal blocks. They're legal, but it's not a game that, a defensive end loves to play in, and he just showed how good of a football player he is by playing in a game like this. Here's Paul Mwala, a local player from Penn High School. Does a great job of getting at the pitch here, deflects it, and, is off and, scores a touchdown here. It was great to see him score on that play.
And you have talked about, you guys are thinking about ways to get him on the field more, not just this season, but next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's plenty of time for that. He's just I think you'll see him a lot more this weekend as, BC in a lot of ways, is a bigger Navy team. They're going to run the football, if they can and it works their way, they could run the ball as much as 85% of the time. So, you're going to get a similar kind of try to control the ball through running the football, condense formations, and, take some shots, very similar to Navy. So, getting, a guy like Paul on the field is something that we're trying to do, with Jeremiah as well, Jeremiah Owusu.
Now, you've lost a couple of real key guys on this defense,
Sure
real
have.
playmakers in Julian Okwara, Dalen Hayes, and yet the defensive line and the defense as a whole is again getting better and better every week. Why is that?
Well, I just think that we have some really good depth. There's no question about that, and we've been able to count on some younger players. Jacob Lacey's played really well for us as a young player. Howard Cross has played in 4 games. He's not going to be able to play. I was corrected by Tim Priester this week. He's on top of his numbers. He's a guy that really stepped in and helped us quite a bit. I just think the depth has really played a role, and then our frontline guys have played so well, and Coach Elston does a great job of developing those guys to play the scheme that we're seeing week in and week out.
You always preach to your players to start fast, and people assume that's offensively, and it is in part. And we'll get to the offense in a second, but it's also defensively. And this season, in the first quarter, your defense has allowed just 3.4 points per game in the first quarter, and that's been huge.
It really is. I mean, that's obviously, part of what we talk about in terms of getting off to a great start. And as you know, I like to take the football if we can win the toss. And, you get on the board first. I like our percentage when it comes to scoring. And if you do, you got a great chance of winning football games. So, defensively holding them down, scoring first, puts us in a good position to win. And, we've done a nice job with that over the last few years.
After his performance last week, Ian Book is now the only quarterback to throw for 4 or more touchdowns in 4 games in a single season in Notre Dame history, and 5 touchdown passes in 3 games in a single season. But it's more than just touchdown passes. Beginning with that winning drive against Virginia Tech, we have seen a different, more effective Ian Book. What is he doing differently?
Well, first of all, he's executing at a higher level. The whole offense is executing at a higher level. So, he's getting great protection. The offensive line's doing a fabulous job. I think, the receivers are making plays for him. And he's been really efficient in what he's seeing, and he's been decisive with the football. He's been on the mark. He's been sharp. So, it's not just one guy. I think it's everybody around him has been sharper in their game. And you can see here's just a great throw, but a great catch, by Chase Claypool. And, you can't say enough about what Chase has been to this offense as well in terms of his ability to make play after play, big plays. And, again, here you see him catch 2 touchdown passes that, really is a mismatch for most players that he's gone against, whether it's Georgia or Navy. He's won those one-on-one matchups.
And again, folks who are listening, we show highlights of the players we're talking about to the audience here at Notre Dame and the ones watching around the world on WatchND. There's no question that Ian heard some of the noise. I talked to him a little bit after the game on Saturday, and he mentioned that a lot of times he tries to go to a friend's house to eat after the game because he can't go out. It's not that people are being negative, but they don't leave him alone. And whenever you have a tough loss, like you did earlier this year against Michigan, the noise gets very, very loud. And to help your team deal with that, you told a very interesting story about Napoleon and mail from a book you were reading. I thought it was fascinating. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to just equate some things that have happened in history, and one of the things that Napoleon made a habit of was that he wouldn't read the mail for 3 days, and that was because a lot of the mail had things in it that would generally get taken care of by the time he got to the mail 3 days later. And it's the same thing with our football team, is that you don't need to listen to that stuff because down the road it's going to get taken care of, and what was important at that time is not important later. And so a lot of the things that were said at that time were really, just at that moment. They're different now, and so sometimes it's good just to not read the mail. Unless they're bills. You should pay the bills. If you have bills, pay your bills. But other than that, the analogy was, there's so much out there, and it's good once in a while to just put that stuff to the side, and you can do something about changing that narrative, and do it by going back to work, and that's what they did.
When you told me that Saturday, it resonated with me as well, because as you get older, there are things that I used to worry about 20 years ago that were just the most important things, would get me so angry, and you just learn that, most of it just isn't that important, but it's hard to realize that without experience.
No doubt, and I think what I try to do is just give them a perspective, and sometimes it sticks with them, some guys it doesn't, but I think that anytime that I can put something in perspective that allows them to deal with, what's current and what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, I try to help them get through those times.
There are receivers that show up on campus, and from the time they're a freshman, they're just spectacular. There are others who have to work to get there, and Chase Claypool is one of them, but his attitude has been terrific. At this point, after tying the school record for touchdown catches in a game against Navy with 4, set the record as far as they can tell. Records go back to 1950. 3 touchdown catches and a half, we think, is a Notre Dame record. Is he overachieving, or did you see this in him the entire time? And by the way, he's still one of the leading players on special teams. 4 touchdown catches or not, he's still out there.
Well, I haven't had a player that, has the kind of, consistent, competitive drive week in and week out, and that's the way he practices as well. And you don't have to take my word. You can ask our trainers. They believe he's the toughest guy that we have on a team. He's played with 3 dislocated fingers this year, and he easily could be a guy that didn't play on a couple of occasions this year because of those dislocations. But he is just one tough, competitive guy that just keeps playing no matter what the situation. He loves to play the game of football. And he impacts the game not only from catching the football, but runs after the catch, blocking, and as you mentioned, special teams. And I don't know if I've had a player that impacted it in so many different areas other than just, we've had great receivers. You bring up Will Fuller, Michael Floyd, Tyler Eifert. There's so many great ones that we've had here in the last 10 years, but he impacts it in so many other physical ways, his presence, that physicality, and he's just a ferocious competitor.
Well, even in addition to the fingers, I've had enough surgeries now that I firmly believe that minor surgery is what other people undergo, but he had some minor ankle surgery back in June, and there was a game in September where he got dinged with that ankle late in the first half, and I was convinced. I saw him come off. It was like 3 minutes left. No way he's going back in. He was back in a minute and a half later.
Yeah, he's, again, whether he's got an ankle or a shoulder, he had the tightrope surgery, the high ankle surgery. And, again, I think that, our trainers would tell you that, when they stack him up, he's probably one of the toughest guys we've got.
All right, the important thing about this weekend, it's a rivalry game, especially out in Boston. They call it the Holy War with Boston College, but also important for every member of this team, especially every senior member and their family. It's senior day. It's your 10th senior day at Notre Dame. Do you have to guard against the emotions of the day impacting performance? And if so, how do you do that?
Well, I think each kid is different, and the individuals understand, that they're going to have to get themselves back into where their emotional zone allows them to play at that optimal level. Each one will be affected differently, right? Some will be emotional, some won't be emotional until after the game. But regardless, when the ball is ready to be kicked off, they have to get into that optimal zone. And so, there's going to be a little bit of that time right around, their name is called and they get a chance to embrace their family. But they understand now clearly how important it is to get back into that optimal zone for them to be the best player they can be. And they're trained well enough now relative to mental performance that they understand that they can't let any emotions get in the way of a great performance. And so I'm pretty confident that our guys will be back and ready if they do get outside that zone when the ball is kicked off.
One of the keys to Notre Dame getting to where they want to get each and every season, be it the playoff or a New Year's Six bowl, is you got to protect your home field. Mm-hmm. You have now won 17 straight at home. That's the 3rd longest streak in Notre Dame history. And among Power 5 schools, only Clemson and Ohio State had longer streaks right now, which kind of, when you think of all the great teams in America, that's how hard it is to consistently win even at home.
Yeah, well, we're one of the great teams. So, to do that on a consistent basis over a long period of time, it requires a lot of preparation. It requires a lot of playmakers. It requires a lot of things to come together for that streak to come where it is today. And they want to keep that going. And so it's important to them. They understand that more than anything else, it's about playing one play at a time. they don't get too far ahead of themselves. We've got a pretty good process in place right now that, it's 6 seconds, one play at a time. And when you stack them all up and you add it up, you try to get to one more game.
Big part of the show is always our fan questions, and as always, we have lots of questions for Coach Kelly, and we will begin to get to some of them right after this timeout on the Brian Kelly Show, presented by the experts at TireRack.com.
We know you like football. So do we. We're TireRack.com, and this is our version of a 2-minute drill, except it's only 30 seconds. TireRack.com has an enormous selection of tires. Not sure which ones to buy? Use our Tire Decision Guide to find the right tires for your vehicle and the way you drive. Then get them shipped fast and free on all orders over $50. Shipping is in as little as 1 day. Free. TireRack.com ships to independent, recommended installers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. Touchdown!
If the worst brings out your best on the football field, that means that you tend to rise up in the face of adversity. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. A very nice quality for a football player to have. Also, a very nice quality for an insurance company to have. Because when something goes catastrophically wrong, we step up and make it right again. That's the silver lining. West Bend. The worst brings out our best. To find out more, visit thesilverlining.com.
At St. Joseph Health System, every hand held, every story told, every tear shed, smile shared, and spirit lifted stays in our hearts forever. We're blessed because every day we get to make a difference in people's lives. To learn more, visit sjmed.com. St. Joseph Health System. We are called to care for you.
Fighting Irish fans, don't miss your chance to experience the action live with tickets from Vivid Seats, the official ticket marketplace of the Fighting Irish. Visit vividseats.com/UMD today to buy and sell tickets to any event. Home games, on the road, even sold out games, no problem. And every transaction is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee. Vivid Seats lets you see more and sit closer all season long. Support the Fighting Irish with tickets from the official ticket marketplace, Vivid Seats. Available now at vividseats.com/UMD. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Show, and while it's toasty here inside the indoor practice facility, our 80-degree football game days are long gone. It's time to start thinking about tires, winter tires. Our friends at TireRack.com, presenting sponsors of the Brian Kelly Show, have what's right for you. Headquartered just a few minutes from Notre Dame Stadium, their experts know a thing or two about driving through winter's worst. And when they're not driving in it, they're on their test track or maneuvering around on the ice at a local hockey rink for winter tire testing. Also, you can get your tires right. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. Now, we always start with our ticket-winning question, and this week's winning question was submitted by Carol Hunt of nearby Napanee. Now, she couldn't make it tonight.
No?
But we didn't want to throw her question out. Something came up, and she couldn't make it. But this is what she would like to know. Looking back at the history of Notre Dame football, what is your favorite Irish game and why?
My favorite? It's got to be one of my wins, doesn't it?
I would assume so.
Absolutely.
Stanford 2012.
That was pretty good, thank you.
On the road at Oklahoma.
I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
Any victory over USC?
Love those. Seven of them. Did I say 7 of them?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm patting myself on the back tonight.
That's all right. It's the last show of the year.
Yeah, that's
You've
right.
earned it.
Thank you.
You're on a roll right now. You're beating
boy.
every team that has a week off before you play them. 7 total, 4 in a row. BC's the 4th team with a week off.
Get this guy a beer. I mean, there's so many great games. I would say, when you talk about road games, Oklahoma, because of the pageantry, and it was such a big game on the road. At home, that Stanford goal line stand was amazing. I said, I think a couple of weeks ago, I love the fact that we've gone undefeated twice at USC. To do that twice on the road at USC, those are pretty special wins. The one that was really, really neat here was, going undefeated and beating Wake Forest pretty handily, and we were able to get all of our seniors into the game. And those are really nice because sometimes you don't realize that, some of the guys that are so important to the team, some of the fans don't even know, but there's some of the walk-ons that are so instrumental in terms of what we do. And we got all of our walk-ons into the game against Wake Forest, and that's pretty special, too, when those guys get a chance to play.
John Mischie of St. Charles, Illinois observes, the offensive line has been outstanding in pass protection, but not as effective in the running game. Are there specific technique issues that must be stressed more in practice?
Not really. I mean, if you really look at it, we ran the ball well against Duke, actually very well against Duke. We really didn't get a chance to run the football. I mean, if you look at our plays, we had, I think we only had one long drive. Everything else was very short. There was no rhythm in terms of developing a run game and play action. It was just the way it was set up. So, no, I'm not really that concerned. I think those guys have done a nice job. I mean, we have enough play action shots that we can balance up and when we need to, throw the ball over people's head. So, no, I'm not really that concerned about it. We're going into our 11th game, I think, we certainly have, made big plays in the passing game, and the running game has been sufficient enough, for us to do quite well. I think we're ahead of Alabama in terms of, average yards per game, and everybody uses them as the gold standard. So we're doing enough there that we can still run our offense at an effective rate.
Peggy from Hollywood, Florida, big fan. She watches everything on the web when you're on, including your press conferences.
Very good.
However, she's a little worried.
Uh-oh.
She's wondering if
looking older.
No.
Gray hair.
Well, that's kind of par for the course, especially in this job. No, she's wondering if other colleges gain information they can use from questions you answered during your pregame press conferences.
Well, no, because our media never ask any questions about the team that we're playing, so I never really have to worry about that. So it's really it's never a giveaway, Once in a while they'll ask one question, but they usually want to know stuff about the future or what happened in the past, so I never really have to worry about it.
Guys, this is a theme after most of his press conferences. I've heard him say this before.
This is awesome tonight, just being able to throw hand grenades over there every 5 minutes.
Randy Murphy of Sullivan, Illinois sent in this note. No question, just a quick note of thanks to all involved for having my wife and I at last week's show as the lucky winner to have my question answered. We both really enjoyed the evening, and getting to see the facility was fantastic. Thanks again, Go Irish, and thank you, Randy. We enjoyed having you here last week.
Awesome.
Rhiannon Yoder of Goshen sent in this question. How do you deal with the expectations of being the head coach at Notre Dame?
Well, I think you set what those expectations are. Our expectations are to graduate champions. And so outwardly, what is that about? It's to see your players get a degree from Notre Dame and to, have a ring. But inwardly, it is to make certain that those players complete their eligibility at the university and leave here as better men. As better fathers, as better citizens. So as long as you fulfill those expectations, that's my why. That's why I do what I do. Everybody else can talk about wins and losses, and I understand I get hired and fired on wins and losses, but that's my why. That's what keeps me going. Where everybody else can kind of spin around and talk about, that this is, how we're defined. We're defined by graduating champions, and in my mind, that's my job on a day-to-day basis.
Patrick Hardig of Statesville, North Carolina, is wondering, how do you know when to use a trick play or some other play the opponent could not scout?
Well, that's the art of play calling. There's the science of it where, you want to develop, as I mentioned earlier, you want to develop a balance in terms of run to pass and keep the defense, off balance. But there's definitely an art to that trick play. You gotta get a feel for it. You gotta know the right time. It's not something you can suggest. That's not something that I've got a play sheet and go, all right, time for the trick play. That never works. The play caller has got to have a sense in the play calling when that trick play is in their mind, the right time to call it.
Folks, we'll be back with more questions for Coach Kelly right after this time out on the Brian Kelly Show, presented by the experts at TireRack.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Rob Fisher from Fisher's Tips and Chips Barbecue. Thanksgiving can be stressful enough, so bring in your turkey to us, and we'll smoke that bird to perfection. Your guests will love the taste of our moist and juicy turkey, and best of all, this stress-saving service is only $25. So bring in your turkey to us. We can even do the side dishes as well.
Bring your turkey or ham to Fisher's Tips and Chips before November 23rd at 3135 South 11th Street in Niles, just north of the state line.
Here come the Irish.
Take in the campus sights. High-five the Notre Dame team as they walk into the stadium and hear the music of the famous marching band. Notre Dame football has won 17 straight home games at iconic Notre Dame Stadium. Don't miss your final chance this season to experience a football Saturday in South Bend. The Fighting Irish close out the regular season on November 23rd against Boston College with kickoff at 2:30, where the senior members of the football team will be honored during pregame. Great seats are still available, and tickets start at just $45. Visit UND.com/buy tickets or call toll-free 833-ND-IRISH. And are you looking for a great way to entertain clients, coworkers, or friends? From pregame tailgate opportunities to in-game premium experiences at Notre Dame Stadium. Check out the many premium hospitality options to take in all the sights and sounds of the Notre Dame football game day experience. Visit UND.com/hospitality. That's UND.com/hospitality. Go Irish!
Why wait for Black Friday? Get Black Friday prices today at the Home Depot. Up to 40% off appliance special buys, plus up to $600 in extra savings instantly on select appliances. No rebate, no hassle. Like a Whirlpool white top mount refrigerator for just $548. Over $180 off. Talk about holiday cheer. Black Friday savings early, now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details. Valid through December 5th.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. We'll also have a dolphin chatter excitedly in front of the perfect candidate. Okay, there's no dolphin. But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Visit Indeed.com/promo today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Show. Irish fans, experience the action live with tickets from Vivid Seats, official ticket marketplace of the Fighting Irish. Download the new Vivid Seats app to start earning credit back on all your app purchases. Don't just get any seat, get a Vivid seat. More questions for Coach Kelly. Todd Krall of Toledo is wondering if there is any stadium, college or pro, that you would love to play in that you haven't yet had the chance to play in.
Rose Bowl.
Okay.
I'd like to play in the Rose Bowl.
And if you make the playoff a year when the Rose Bowl's in the rotation, there's actually a chance.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing in Lambeau Field. That should be fun. Yeah. We're going to play there next year against Wisconsin, so that'll be fun. I think we play in at least 4 or 5 NFL stadiums next year.
You are all over the place. I don't know specifically, but and you start the year in Ireland.
Well, that's right. We're in Ireland. I think we're at Lambeau Field. I think Pitt Panther Stadium, right?
Heinz Field.
I know we play Wake Forest, I think, in Charlotte, right?
Yes.
I can't remember. Tim would know. Tim Priester would know. He's got them all.
I haven't gotten that far ahead, nailing them down myself. And, of course, the Irish did play their first ever bowl game was in the Rose Bowl way back in 1925. So it would be a second appearance. And I doubt anybody who was at that game would be in attendance again. So it would be a unique experience. Tom Clark of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania would like to know, what was the best meal or snack you have had during an in-home recruiting visit?
Ooh, the best?
The best.
Well, that's a good question. Man. You know, the pierogies that the Lug family, Mrs. Lug, she made homemade pierogies. You know, that's a Pittsburgh family when you get pierogies. Yeah. They were pretty good. And the catfish in Shreveport, Louisiana, from the Tillery family. That was pretty good too, and the etouffee.
Yeah.
So you're gonna eat what the area is bringing out for you. And those two kind of stand out to me from that geographical area as being really, really good.
Now, folks, and especially parents watching and listening at home right now of athletes you're currently recruiting, you might be up there, but if Coach mentions any names now, it's against NCAA rules.
Yeah, can't do that.
So don't feel slighted. You might be in the competition, but you only actually get in it after your son signs to play here.
Yeah, now I have way more bad meals than I can remember the good meals. I'd say the number one food that I usually get is lasagna.
Lasagna?
Yeah, that's number one.
And you've had enough lasagna forever?
What are we having tonight? Lasagna.
Yep. You like meat or veggie lasagna?
You can't say no. I mean, what are you going to say? Whatever.
But do you have a preference? Your preference apparently is no lasagna.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever they're cooking, I'm eating.
All right. Beyond, long recruiting trip. You get stuck somewhere. It's not at a house. What's the worst meal you ever had to subject yourself to, say, in an airport or a dive restaurant? It's just because you had to eat, and this was all you could find.
We were on the West Coast, and we had to refuel. And I think we refueled in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
And in the FBO, which are the small, airports where you fly into, they had a bowling alley. And the bowling alley was just about to close, and we were starving. Mm-hmm. And it was probably, I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And they were kind of said, we'll fix you up some food. And it was it came in a styrofoam container.
Yeah, midnight bowling alley food.
And we just got right on the plane, and we opened it up, and it was
whatever was left at the end of the night.
It looked like roadkill. I mean, it was so bad. We had to close it up. It smelled the whole plane up. We had to close it up. Yeah, we didn't even touch it. Yeah, Wichita, Kansas. Watch out for this FBO. The bowling alley in Wichita, Kansas.
All right.
It was bad.
Emily McYown of Toronto would like to know, what was the biggest challenge you have ever faced as a coach in your career? Biggest challenge?
Well, I mean, there's lots of challenges that you face. I mean, biggest challenge, I think, anytime you're rebuilding, programs, you're always challenged. I would say probably my second year, going into my second year at Central Michigan, was probably the biggest overhaul challenge that I had as a football coach. We were it was a team that wasn't confident, that wasn't they didn't love playing. We had to really change everything about them. We had some off-field issues, and just really trying to bring that team, to a level of winning a championship, which we did in the third year. That was probably my biggest challenge.
Jack Pacco sent us an interesting question. Coach, is there a primary target for most RPO plays?
Yes. Yeah, there is a primary. But remember, it's a run-pass option, right? So the run is part of that. And so, it depends on what side you're looking at, right? I mean, you're trying to run the football, and then if the run isn't there, then there's a read to throw the football. So it just depends on how you're, trying to skin that, right? I mean, there is a run read first, and then there's a pass if the run is not available to you.
And you talked earlier this week in terms of the reasons Ian Book has done so well, and we talked earlier in the show of the things that he has done. But one of the things that you did in practice with Chip Long was you changed a little bit how you practiced on offense as opposed to what most schools usually do is you're scripting a specific play. This one goes to Claypool, this goes to Cole, and you stopped that. He was really getting plays from the sideline where he had to go through these reads each and every practice throughout the practice, and you think that just helped him get into a better rhythm?
Yeah, again, I don't know that there's one thing.
I'm saying just one of the things, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was, I think there were a lot of things going on that helped us, reach a point where there was better retention. I think we clarified some things on our part in terms of coaching and sometimes we try to do too much as coaches. We want to have the answer to everything. And we kind of said, look, we can't have the answer to everything. Let's maybe clean this up a little bit on our end. And I think we did him a service by keeping it a little bit. And I'm trying to stay away from easier, because that's not what it was. It wasn't easier, but I think it was cleaner and it was coached better to give him a better chance to succeed. And it's paying off. So he's been better for it, and we'll continue to, give him the best chance to succeed out there.
Chad Millman of Mishawaka is wondering if you have a routine that you follow throughout each week during the season.
Well, is personally or as a team?
It's personally.
Well, yeah. I mean, in terms of what time I get in every morning, I get in around 6:30. I leave around between, depending on what day it is, between 9 and 10:30 p.m. at night. So I have a pretty. If you wanted to kill me, you would know where I'm at. My routine's pretty good. I mean, you'll know where I'm going to be most days. So I stick to a pretty common routine. You'll know what time I'm pulling in, what time I'm leaving, and during the day I have a pretty similar routine in terms of when I'm meeting with coordinators, when I'm meeting with the training staff, when I'm meeting with the strength coaches. It's a pretty standard routine throughout the week, scheduled, because there's so much, there's so many things to do that it all has to be mapped out.
And certainly people hear those hours. A lot of people not surprised. Others are saying, boy, that's a long day every day. And I do know you are making an effort. You always have since you've been a head coach, but you really make sure you fit in some kind of a workout in there each and every day.
Yes. Yeah, I spent some at least an hour to work out and just decompress and some people call it, it would be for many meditation. It's a way to just be still and detach from all the noise on a day-to-day basis. And I don't mean the football noise as much as just the world noise.
Yeah.
I went into the staff meeting the other day. I didn't know they were impeaching Trump. Did you guys know that? They're impeaching the president. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That was a joke. I mean, okay.
But you're not sitting down and watching 8 hours of the hearings, that's for sure. No, absolutely not. All right, that's going to do it for our questions, but we're all here to get ready for the Boston College game, and we'll talk about the Eagles right after this timeout on the Brian Kelly Show, live from the Irish Athletic Center, presented by the experts at TireRack.com.
A lot of banking apps let you do the same things, like check your balance in your PJs, deposit checks during your workout, and transfer funds from, anywhere. But because we're a trusted bank in the neighborhood, the First Source app comes with a walk-in option, so you can talk face-to-face, not just face-to-phone. First Source Bank.
Member FDIC. Download the First Source app on the App Store or Google Play.
Is life throwing you hard knocks?
Okay, it's time to go to work.
You may be injured or just worn down. Whether it's Notre Dame football, work, or just everyday life, South Bend Orthopedics believes everyone should be treated as if they are on the same team. Schedule an appointment with South Bend Orthopedics today. Call 574-247-9441. Let us get you back in the game.
Okay, it's time to go to work.
It doesn't take a focus group to name a Papa John's pizza with 5 of our best meats. Just take a ginormous bite and blurt out the first thing you think of. Meats! With an S. Meats, plural. Used in a sentence, it would be like, holy cow, that's a lot of meats. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go enjoy the meats of my labor. Try large meats or works for just $12, only at Papa John's. Not valid with other discounts. Fees and taxes extra. Prices may vary.
Do you want exclusive discounts on tailgating favorites and a chance to win Notre Dame football tickets? All you have to do is sign up for the new tailgating zone at Gordon Food Service Store. Grab your phone and text GFS to 55678. You even get a free thermal tote bag just for signing up. It's easy. Just text GFS to 55678 and you're in. Gordon Food Service Store is the official tailgating partner of Notre Dame Athletics.
Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Show. Notre Dame getting ready to play its final home game of the year against Boston College, a longtime rival. The Eagles are 5-5. They are the number 5 rushing team in the country, 282.2 yards per game. They have the number 3 rusher in the country, talented young man A.J. Dillon at 145 yards per game. I guess the obvious question would be, is there any carryover from stopping the Navy rushing attack? But they're two different offenses. Is there a carryover?
Well, in some instances there is. This is Georgia in a sense, much more of a physical presence. You're not dealing with triple option, but you're dealing with a physicality at the point of attack, especially with, the running backs, both of them, 240, 235. And certainly, when it gets down to it, the ability to open it up in a passing game, much different than the Navy's. So, they're very good on offense. They have scored, at a high rate, as you mentioned, one of the top rushing teams in the country. So we go from Navy right back into it, from that standpoint. So this is again about controlling the line of scrimmage and having the ability to do so, and it's going to be a challenge. We had to get after it again this week. In back-to-back weeks, it was a physical week of practice. We went against each other. We're making the transition from triple option, back to a standard, offensive set. I thought it was important that even during Navy, as I mentioned, maybe I did on the show, but we took time even last week against Navy to practice the traditional offensive sets. And we did that again this week in a sense that we went 10 minutes on Tuesday and Wednesday of hard contact, ones versus ones, because it's hard to duplicate the physicality of this offense.
And you're often asked about the triple option defensive hangover the week afterwards. I imagine that's why you had some of those series before. Is that a thing? Have you noticed that it is hard to make that transition back to the point it's impacted the following games at time during your tenure?
I really think it has to do with the mentality more than anything else. We played Navy and then came back and played Northwestern the following week last year, and we played them on the road. We were back-to-back road games. We were in San Diego and then I think Chicago, Evanston, and that's
Northwestern, a pretty decent team.
And that was a good physical football team. And so I just think it's a mindset. You got to go in there and you got to know, you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to play physical. And our guys know that they'll get knocked off the ball if they're not in the right mindset. Game's hard. And it's going to be hard against BC if you don't have the right mindset going into it.
Now, their offense has been really good. Their defense has struggled a bit, and I know we had a question about the rushing attack, but a lot of times, and this goes again with Navy. Navy's secondary wasn't that good, so you attacked them through the air. It's a somewhat similar situation with BC. They've struggled on defense all year, especially in their secondary, so attacking them through the air is something that would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, Navy was 12th in the country, defensively and playing really well. And we just, we felt like we had a good plan against them. And, again, we're going to have to move the football. They're going to score, It'd be great to shut them out. But we feel like, we have to be able to move the football against them. And, they're very stingy in terms of, they don't want you to run the football against them. And when they are stingy like that, they're going to play a lot of cover one, and we've got to win some matchups.
You acknowledge with your team on Tuesday that, it's senior day week, but you can celebrate all that stuff later on because if you don't win the game, you're not going to remember all the great stuff of the day because there won't really be a lot of great stuff. How do you emphasize that right as they go out? Because if it's going to have an impact, it can have the most impact in those opening moments of the game.
Yeah, kind of like what I said earlier, Jack, is that, we're going to celebrate them. There's no doubt. I mean, they're going to be up there on the Jumbotron, and they're going to get a chance to see their families. But they don't graduate until, December, and some don't graduate till May. This is an acknowledgement of your academic success. All these players that are walking, all 30 of them on Saturday, are going to be graduating at the end of this semester or the end of the spring or summer semester. We still have some football to be played. So let's acknowledge your work academically, but we've got some football to be played. We can do both.
And that's an important point to make. Most Notre Dame fans understand this, but everyone who's going to graduate will walk. That doesn't mean they're not going to play for you again next year.
That's
and those
correct.
Conversations, that process doesn't take place till later.
Yeah, well, I've pretty much talked to most of the guys about that, but we keep that to ourselves until it's time for them to disclose that. But this is all about academics. This is about all these guys being acknowledged for completing their degree at the end of this academic year. And by doing so, we want to acknowledge that. And then those guys that have eligibility remaining, we'll see them in the fall.
What a terrific selection for your player interview this week. Jerry Tillery is one of the most interesting, complicated, and talented players you have coached here at Notre Dame, and you caught up with him in L.A.
Yeah, I thought you were going to leave it as the most interesting man, Jerry's delightful. I mean, what a great young man, first-round draft pick. And it's just a great story. Here's a guy that, I recruited to be an offensive lineman, and I went down to Shreveport, Louisiana, and I'm in the parking lot with Harry Heastan, who used to be our offensive line coach, who's with the Chicago Bears. And Harry gets out of his truck because Harry drives by himself, or he always drove by himself because he used a Rand McNally map to get around. So you can understand why he drove by himself. And as Harry gets out of the truck, I said, Harry, I just want to let you know we're gonna move Jerry to defensive line. Harry wasn't very happy about that, but we recruited him to play defensive line after recruiting him for such a long time to be an offensive lineman. And man, what a great career that he ends up being a first-round draft pick, and obviously contributing to a team that has a couple of other Notre Dame players as well.
Always fun to be around. I hope I'll run into him on the sideline Saturday because he will be here. We will hear Coach's conversation with Jerry Tillery right after this time on the Brian Kelly Show, presented by the experts at TireRack.com.
Get in the holiday spirit during holiday happenings at Eddy Street Commons at Notre Dame, Saturday, December 7th. Join Santa and Mrs. Claus for a pancake breakfast at Brothers Bar and Grill. Visit Eventbrite to select your seating time and place your reservation for just $6 per person. From 10 till 2, the Eddy Street merchants will have special promotions and free kids activities, including Storytime with Santa at 11:45 inside Hammis Bookstore. Bring the whole family to holiday happenings at Eddy Street Commons, Saturday, December 7th, benefiting the Food Bank of Northern Indiana.
Rossini's.
Rossini's Pizza. Every Rossini's pizza is carefully made with homemade dough and the freshest ingredients. Plus, Rossini's is added to their sandwich lineup, now serving a tender and delicious Chicago-style Italian beef on fresh bread, complete with au jus, pepperoncini, or hot giardiniera peppers on request. Try one today. Visit RossiniCarryout.com for downloadable coupons. Rossini Pizza. Carry-out pizza and sandwiches you're proud to bring home. Lincoln Way East in Mishawaka, across from Beeger School. Open daily at 4.
Here come the Irish.
Take in the campus sights. High-five the Notre Dame team as they walk into the stadium and hear the music of the famous marching band. Notre Dame football has won 17 straight home games at iconic Notre Dame Stadium. Don't miss your final chance this season to experience a football Saturday in South Bend. The Fighting Irish close out the regular season on November 23rd against Boston College with kickoff at 2:30, where the senior members of the football team will be honored during pregame. Great seats are still available, and tickets start at just $45. tickets. Visit UND.com/buy tickets or call toll-free 833-ND-IRISH. And are you looking for a great way to entertain clients, coworkers, or friends? From pregame tailgate opportunities to in-game premium experiences at Notre Dame Stadium. Check out the many premium hospitality options to take in all the sights and sounds of the Notre Dame football game day experience. Visit UND.com/hospitality. That's UND.com/hospitality. Go Irish!
There's nothing better than a crisp fall day in Michigan. Journeyman Distillery's Old Country Goodness Apple Cider Liqueur delivers the best of the season with every sip. OCG Apple Cider Liqueur is made using only the best organic Michigan apple cider, apple juice, and spices that are then fortified with their signature unaged rye whiskey. Best served hot, cold, straight, mixed as a traditional liqueur with other spirits and cocktails or used for cooking. OCG Apple Cider Liqueur by Journeyman Distillery. The perfect addition to your tailgate, available at fine retailers or direct from their Three Oaks Distillery.
Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Show. Defensive lineman Jerry Tillery made an immediate impact his freshman season when he played in 12 games, starting 3 and making 12 tackles, including 2 for loss, with a sack to earn 2015 Defensive Newcomer of the Year honors. Tillery went on to play in a total of 50 games for Notre Dame, making 135 tackles, including 24.5 tackles for loss, with 13.5 sacks. His senior season was his best, when he tied for the team lead in sacks with 8, while also making 10.5 tackles for loss, with 3 forced fumbles and 2 blocked kicks. That performance made him a semifinalist for the Bednarik Award and earned him first-team All-American honors from Sports Illustrated and CBS Sports, and second-team All-American honors from the Associated Press. Jerry was the first Notre Dame player selected in this year's NFL Draft, picked by the Los Angeles Chargers with the 28th pick of the first round. Tillery has played in all 11 games for the Chargers this year and has recorded 11 tackles with 1.5 sacks. On the academic side, Jerry received his degree in economics from the Notre Dame College of Arts and Letters in May of 2018. And he was also known for his many interests off the football field while at Notre Dame. He traveled around the world visiting places like Cape Town, South Africa, Venice, Italy, and Auschwitz in Poland. The summer before his junior year, he interned with a hedge fund based in Dublin, Ireland. He even dabbled in student government when he managed a friend's campaign for Notre Dame's student body president. With his electrifying skills on the field and Renaissance man interests off it, Jerry Tillery was always an interesting interview while at Notre Dame, and we expected nothing less when Coach Kelly caught up with him earlier this week.
There he is.
What's up? You awake?
I am. How's it going?
Up and early. You got your Notre Dame gear on, huh?
Yeah, I figured that'd be appropriate for this interview.
So when did you get back from Mexico City?
About 5 a.m. yesterday morning.
Oh, wow. So you needed a little rest.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I was sleeping most of the day yesterday, and woke up about 30 minutes ago.
Good. What time do you have to be in today?
So we're on our bye week this week, right?
Oh, cool.
So I'm off all week.
You coming in for the game?
I am. Yeah.
All right.
And for the Boston College game, I'm pretty excited about it.
Good. Well, I'll tell you what. It's a D lineman's delight. It's going to be about, I don't know, they could have probably run the ball about 50 times. This is about stopping the run in this game. They very rarely throw it, and it's going to be about the guys up front. So you'll like this kind of game. Your boys will be getting after it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I like our matchups for sure.
I do too. So tell me about the transition. I mean, obviously you prepared yourself really well. Tell me about the transition now and going and making this a full-time job. How's it been for you?
It's exactly that. I've found it's truly a full-time job. Like, let me see. On Monday night down in Mexico, we played our 11th straight regular season game, and that was before 4 preseason
games.
You know, during our 8 weeks of training camp. So yeah, I mean it's truly a full-time job, right? But I've really transitioned nicely. I have a lot of connections here already. You know, I was extremely lucky to have, the Notre Dame,
right.
A couple of my Notre Dame teammates here kind of to look to for, I guess, guidance as I, move through this process, my rookie season. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed, everything that comes with, being a player in the NFL.
Good. So have your parents gotten a chance? Have you gotten them out to L.A. to see you play yet?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
My parents, they love to travel. They love to come and watch me play. They've gotten to come out a bunch, and it's been a lot of fun having them here.
Will you change where you live when they get into the new facility, or are you in a pretty good location where you are right now?
No, I'm in a good location. Our facility will stay where it is. We'll just drive a little bit further on Sunday morning
for game day situation.
Yeah. So that's the only difference. We'll be traveling to the games, but our practice facility, our meetings, our home where we are, every day is still here in Costa Mesa. So I'm only about 5 minutes from the beach. I love going down there, so I like where I am, and I'm happy that we'll be staying here.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I know football is a job and it's a profession, and I know you've been really busy, but Jerry, you have passions for other things. So what is it that you're doing that maybe fills up a little bit of the time? Because I know you like to travel a lot when you were here. You were able to do internships and keep yourself, obviously actively involved in other things outside of football too. What are the things that you're able to kind of keep yourself sharp with outside of football?
Yeah, I mean, every day there's, I have, a routine that I go through, and just, taking care of my body, eating right, and, and reading, and just staying, motivated and stimulated throughout the season. That's kind of where we are, for sure. What's the next thing on the list for you when football gives you a little time off? Is there a place you want to go, a destination? There's got to be something on your list, the Jerry Tillery around the world list of somewhere you haven't been that you got to get to. I'm glad you asked. Because my gals from Delta, they need to know where they're going to plan the next trip for you. Yes, I know. I love tennis, right? I do. So the Australian Open here in I think late January, early February. I think that'll be the next stop. Awesome. That's a great call. Little down under, Jerry. I think that's a great call right there. Exactly. Thank you. Well, there's another sport down there that you haven't picked up yet. I can see you on a cricket field. Cricket is your sport, I think. I think so. I mean, I'll have a look. I'll definitely check it out. Well, Jerry, great spending time with you. I appreciate you getting up early and taking a few minutes. This will play on our Thursday night show. They'll get a chance to catch up with Jerry Tillery because everybody's been asking for you, so they'll be excited. I love it. I'm excited to get back there this weekend. I will see you all very soon. I'll see you on the sideline. Thanks, Jerry. Take care. Yes, sir. Bye-bye. See you, buddy.
That was Coach Kelly's conversation earlier this week with former Irish defensive star Jerry Tillery. I'll be back to wrap up this final 2019 edition of The Brian Kelly Show, presented by the experts at TireRack.com, right after this short break.
We know you like football. So do we. We're TireRack.com, and this is our version of a 2-minute drill, except it's only 30 seconds. TireRack.com has an enormous selection of tires. Not sure which ones to buy? Use our Tire Decision Guide to find the right tires for your vehicle and the way you drive. Then get them shipped fast and free on all orders over $50. Shipping is in as little as 1 day, free. TireRack.com ships to independent, recommended installers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.